Yeah, I mean, Triple R making the long list. Now, for people that don't know the long list, this is the list prior to the nomination list, so it's still got another way to go. I've got every faith it's going to make it right through to nominations.
Certainly
anyway.
For the foreign picture
Yeah,
stuff, it should definitely be
for
in
the
there.
BAFTAs. This is obviously I don't like when people in America say it's the British version of the Oscars. It's
No, it's
not
the BAFTAs.
it's not even on the same level. It's the British film and television awards.
Yeah.
It's not just predominantly film.
But it's like he's the next Messi. No, he's not. He's the next him.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop trying to compare things.
So it says here, and again, it's coming in from NDTV. It says Triple R Rose again. The SS Rajamouli directed magnum opus. Is this the same thing I'm reading? Features on a freshly released long list of British Academy of Film and Television Arts, the BAFTAs, of course, in the best film for non-English category. Sean Exen's All That Breathes is another one, also made it onto the long list for the best documentary. I'm not talking about that though. But Triple R makers wrote, very happy to share that Triple R is on the long list of the BAFTA Film Awards. Thank you, everyone. And if you just scroll down, John, look at that poster. I love that imagery.
That is a great poster.
I've seen some great posters for Triple R.
You know what? I'd like to get a poster for Triple R. I'd love to get the one where it's actually Ramaraju and Beam.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
A sort of split. I've used it a lot in films.
Is that the one that's got the two different tones of colour?
Yeah, it's like the fire and the water. I'd need to get the poster.
Yeah, it's like red and blue, isn't it?
Because that logo is one of the greatest fucking logos made for a film ever. I loved that.
And
I try to recreate that.
Talking about a sequel, aren't they? For this? Yeah.
I just love everything about that poster, man. That logo is sensational.
John, the BAFTAs. I suppose where we come from, it's probably our top award, I suppose, for the arts, isn't it? It's a phenomenal achievement to get this far, and
it deserves it. It's a great movie.
It definitely does deserve it, and I think on a wider range, John, in terms of I know our obviously population is a lot smaller than the US, but I think in terms of the arts, we're very passionate in this country, talking about the United Kingdom, that is, and we talk about visuals, we talk about the spectacles,
I think for a country of the size of the United Kingdom and perhaps Great Britain on its own, the output, the amount of incredible actors and just directors and just output of entertainment in general that comes out of this relatively small country is remarkable. It's when you actually break it down. Just John, all the incredible names that have come out.
An artistic point of view, away from the visuals and the spectacles, there is a story in there as well. Yeah, people seem to, I'm not saying they ignore it, sometimes they bypass it because of they're in awe of the visuals. The visuals are something else. We can't get shy away from that. But the actual essence of the story in there, John, you've got that segment in there, I'm blanking on the actor's name.
Ajay Devgan.
Which is probably the standout
I knew what you were talking about right away.
Segment for me that sort of
the sacrifice.
It just adds another sort of dimension to the story. It adds heart to the story. You know, just having that sort of flashback in there, his sacrifice, and obviously what he did for his family. But there's something about that. And you had to get someone like him in there.
Ramaraju having to kill his own father.
Yeah,
for the greater good.
Yes,
and how that shaped that individual right into his adulthood. He's playing the long game, revenge against the British.
So I think from a United Kingdom point of view, there's that appreciation for obviously the story in there. It's not an action film. It's not just an action film. I hate when it's tagged like that because there's more to it than that. And I think from obviously a British perspective, I think there's an appreciation there for the writing as well.
But I think that's another sort of thing that gets lost in translation from Britain or India to the West. The West, we really are anal about categorising genres.
Yeah.
And sort of pigeonholing movies into it has to be this, and that's why there's always a laughing joke at the Golden Globes, about these sort of less drama movies that have little comedic flourishes getting flung into the sort of comedy section of the nominations when they're clearly very drama driven, and people think that's not a comedy. Why is that there? Because we like to pigeonhole these movies into genres, whereas in India it's more fluid. A movie can be doing 4 or 5 genres in 2.5 hours.
Was it Minari? It was that was the sort of big talking point.
Yeah, it was comedy. And then there was the
foreign element to it as well.
For
the category. Again, as you said, they're very anal when it comes to that.
The Matt Damon one.
Yeah.
On Mars, fucking nominated as a best comedy.
Yeah.
Wasn't comedic at all. There was comedic elements in it, but we like to force movies over here into very specific genres, whereas in India it ain't like that.
No.
There is multiple things getting done, and I think I'm guilty of it 5 minutes ago, to be pigeonholing Rajamouli into just action does him a disservice. This guy has his own genre in his own right. The way he creates movies, his craftsmanship. Stephen, you're talking about the story, you're absolutely right. The story's brilliant in Triple R. But these two guys from two different walks of life with the same end goal, and the way that he explores these two characters on an emotive level. The village, this guy's, and obviously Beam, his deep connection to every individual in that village, his desire to get this kid back with her mother
the
and
betrayal
family.
from the main character as well, John. There's a false friendship built up, obviously, to lead up to the betrayal. And
I think there is a real friendship there, but he reveals his identity, and then
but then there's this obviously emotional side of the story as well, and the bond between these two characters, this connection, which is beautifully written, and it translates well as well. You talk about that, John. You talk about, you know, Indian cinema, the way it's translated to the Western audiences. I think I can't think of another film it worked so well in, and has been well received because of how it's been translated across. It's a universal story, to be fair, but
it's freedom fighting. It's tyranny, and we've seen that done before in other movies over here. Less well, I'd say, actually. Braveheart is one that springs to mind. The sort of freedom fighter rising up against a tyrannical leader, army, sort of entity, country.
Sardarudam, John.
Sardarudam's another one.
Recently.
We've seen this done very well, but this is the right sort of balancing point between mainstream action stuff going on, incredible CG, plus you've got the human story and all that interesting stuff going on under the surface. Stephen, I says for years, man, India does the best. I mean, I can say years now because it's been about 2 years we've been watching Indian cinema.
We're technically
and
into
TV.
years now,
Years now. They are the best on the planet at doing flashbacks and not being scared, as I said before. Rajamouli with Bahubali.
John, you talk about flashbacks. We've seen some films where a flashback can last a whole hour.
A whole hour, yeah.
You know, we've seen it in obviously
Bahubali, basically a whole act.
Whole act, yeah.
Over 2 movies as a flashback.
What was the film we saw with I'm blanking on his name now. We compare it with Bruce Lee all the time.
Why am I blanking on his name as well? Terrible.
Danush, yeah.
Danush.
That film where the flashback, it went on for quite a while, and it was so pivotal to the
your man passed away. One of the actors passed away.
That's right,
from COVID. He was only in his 40s.
Yep.
He was a big part of the flashback sequence. I think he ratted them out.
There's something about the flashbacks though, they're not designed just to sort of give it a backstory. There's a lot of reveals and kind of changes your perception on what you've just watched the previous to the flashback as well, which I think is a very clever.
It adds emotional weight to the character, and you see that in Triple R. The emotional weight gets added to the Ramaraju character because you're seeing him in real time, present day, the betrayal. You know that he's playing some long game with the British, but you don't know the rationale behind it. Then you see his interactions with his father in that village, what the British did to him, the decision he had to make to take his own father's life, sort of semi-suicide via a bullet. That adds so much emotional weight. Then you realise through his partner, who's in, I think, I always want to say it's Argyle, but I don't think, is that what it's called? Where the Taj Mahal is? It's up that way anyway, I'm pretty sure. Because I'm sure I looked into it as we were watching the movie. Obviously, I'm blanking on her name as well. Terrible. She was in the sort of gangster one. Why am I blanking on her name?
Yeah, I'm trying to. She was
underutilised in the movie anyway.
It was Ali Abbat.
Ali Abbat. She reveals to Beam just what's going on with Ramaraju, and then that leads us into the final act. That's all built off flashbacks, off building emotional weight of the character. So it's so much more than action. And that's why it does deserve the hype it's getting. It deserves these nominations.
That's a confident director that can utilise veteran actors and well-known actors for very bit parts, John, just to sort of tell the story. And definitely when you have to use a certain actor for a pivotal moment in a story as well, and you have to make sure you're getting someone that's going to hit the ground running and make sure it has that impact for the limited screen time they've got on. Shows that S.S. Rajamouli has got faith in the story, more so than the actors, if you know what I mean.
The actors trust him. They know what he's capable of at this stage.
But talking about actors,
it's pan-Indian. He's got guys coming from Telugu regions, guys coming from Hindi regions up north. He's bringing them all together. He's a real pan-Indian sort of director, widely respected.
John, we're going to talk about one of the actors next, just to sort of wrap things up. And this is great news. Again, I think the BAFTAs, obviously, from our point of view, is our biggest sort of accolade you can get in arts. But probably next to the Academy Awards would be the Golden Globes.